What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing? Niner fans, what's going on? It is a Wednesday afternoon. Some rumors, some updates, a lot of things to talk about if you're a 49ers fan, because there's always something to talk about with this team, it seems like. No matter what, off season, in season, side season, whatever the season is, the 49ers always have something to talk about. Like always in the headlines. They're always in the news, man. I love it. I love it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened in terms of news today. There's a little Dre Greenlaw, a little Talanoa Hufanga in the same update from Matt Barrows. More of an opinion, more of a prediction, so to speak, with what's going to happen with Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga. A little bit of Deebo Samuel updates. Obviously, it's not really like startling, but it's basically kind of like an expansion of what we've found out over the last couple of days. And basically, all you can say is he gone with Deebo, but we'll get to it. And then there's like Aaron Rodgers rumors. It's kind of picking up steam. And me and Larry talked about this last night. Like everybody's all of a sudden talking about, Aaron Rodgers. Could he come to the Niners? We'll talk about that. But the big story of the day is Dre Greenlaw. I mean, this is the first one I'll start with. Dre Greenlaw, basically, according to 49ers insider Matt Barrows, he says, I think the chances are better than not that Dre Greenlaw is gone. He says, my sense is that Dre Greenlaw wants an opportunity to run his own shop. Like he wants to have the opportunity like, Aziz Al-Shahir. He wants to be the top dog. He's not going to get that with Fred Warner. That's kind of what Matt Barrows is saying. He's saying the writing's on the wall. There's injuries, right? And it's probably going to push Dre Greenlaw out of the, market for the 49ers. And also Talanoa Hufanga on the same kind of spectrum there is the 49ers are probably not going to bring back Dre Greenlaw. That one for sure. I see that in my mind. And I don't think Hufanga's coming back. The injuries, they'll probably not want to pay him a lot of money. And Talanoa Hufanga, because he had an all-pro season, he might be able to fetch better offers on another team somewhere in free agency. So I do think the days are numbered for Talanoa Hufanga. But it's interesting to note that maybe both of them, two starters, could be gone next year. And I know a lot of Niner fans are really upset, but I do think Matt makes a strong point. Now, do I think that Greenlaw will be back next season? I ultimately think they'll bring him back on a one-year deal because he may not be able to get a contract on other teams because of the injury. And I know a lot of people are commenting, Raj, come on, man. Teams would die for him. I think Dre Greenlaw is a fantastic linebacker, and there are teams that definitely would want him, but I don't know how much value he's going to have because he's coming off a really big injury. The Achilles rupture is a massive injury, and no matter how you say it, no matter what you say, it's a big injury, guys, and you have to understand the magnitude of that injury. It's going to impact any contract negotiations. Now, he did come back and he played a game, but that was it. He was only able to muster one game. Now there's going to be more off season for him to recuperate and rehab, so he could get better and stronger and everything. But again, one game, and he flared up. Now the chances of him of improving, because he basically missed the whole season. Let's be honest, he missed the whole season. One game is not much in a season, so he's basically had a year away from football. He looked good in the one game he played. That might give him a little bit more hope and optimism in terms of being able to go out there and play through a whole season. But I mean, the chances of Dre Greenlaw playing the whole season, I don't know. They're not high to me. They're not high to me. I know people don't like to hear that. So I love that guy. I love Dre Greenlaw. I think we should pay him. But I think the writing might be getting close to being on the wall with Dre. And I think Matt Barrows makes a good point in saying that maybe Dre wants to go to another team and showcase he's the top guy, get the money that he believes he deserves. He's probably not going to get paid much with the Niners because they know he got the injury risk. But I do think Talanoa Hufanga is pretty much, he's good as God. If Talanoa Hufanga comes back, I'll be shocked. Now that means, what are we going to do in the draft, right? You got to draft a linebacker most likely to take, the place of Dre Greenlaw. You can get some free agents. There's been, a lot of linebackers that have become free agents over the years, and free agent linebackers are pretty much a high occurrence. A lot of people, their linebackers go on free agency, they get swooped up, they get paid, they get, they do well on the next team. I believe the Bengals captain defensive linebacker is going to be off the team. So, that's a guy that could could possibly down the line, be an option for the 49ers. So let me take a look at who the guy was from the Bengals. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but what's the guy's name? Bengals. Can't think of the guy's name. But the Bengals defensive captain. The name's escaping me right now, but he's going to be opening on the market. He wants to be traded from the Bengals. I mean, you never know. There's definitely opportunities to get a lot of different newcomers on this team. I'm not saying that they won't get Dre Greenlaw, but the Niners are going to have to do their due diligence and take a look around the league. Now, I know the 49ers I know the 49ers want Dre Greenlaw to stay. I'm not saying that they don't. I know Salah wants to keep him. Fred Warner says he wants to keep him. These are things that they've told us. But there is, other options for Dre Greenlaw. I think that's what this, analysis from Matt Barrows was his take, his opinion, and saying, look, he kind of gets the sense that maybe he wants to test the market. And I think every player wants to test the market and see what their value is. Now, if he dips his toe in that free agency market and it's not what he thinks, he's probably going to say, no, I can stay back in the Niners. Jermaine Pratt. Thank you, Stephen Reynolds. Jermaine Pratt. That's the guy, linebacker Jermaine Pratt. He is basically saying that his time with the Bengals is done. He's a great linebacker. I mean, is he on the level of Dre Greenlaw when Greenlaw is 100%? No, but he's a good linebacker, and he's a tone setter. This is the guy. Bengals defensive captain and leading tackler Jermaine Pratt has requested a trade, according to Ian Rappaport. Cincinnati has been devoting resources to keeping their offensive core together, and Pratt was close to DC Lou Anarumo, who was fired last season. So this is a guy who's going to be on the market. Now, I'm not saying the 49ers are going to get him, but this is just an option, right? They can go and maybe try to trade for Jermaine Pratt. He's a really good linebacker, and, he led the Bengals in, obviously, tackles last year. But I'm just saying there's a lot of opportunities to get a different linebacker other than Dre Greenlaw. Now, I think all of us want Dre. We know how much he can bring to this team, but you have to weigh the good and the bad. You have to weigh everything out with him in terms of, injury risk. And there is a high injury risk, but it's the same thing with Talanoa Hufanga, right? Talanoa Hufanga has a high injury risk, and that's another guy that is probably not going to be back in free agency, right? So again, 49ers could be losing both linebacker Dre Greenlaw and safety Talanoa Hufanga to free agency this offseason. According to Matt Barrows, he says, I think there's a chance that I think the chances are better than not that Dre Greenlaw is done. And the same with Talanoa Hufanga. So he kind of lumped them together in that, report and his talk with KNBR. He was on KNBR this morning, and that's basically what he said. He said, look, I know the Niners want him. I know the fans want him, but there's probably a bigger chance that they don't come back because of all these other factors, injuries. Other teams might be able to open up the playbook a little bit more than the 49ers. Because, again, they got to get Brock Purdy, and, they're going to probably trade Deebo Samuel here and there. And let's see what happens, right? They might want to focus on the draft and hit a linebacker, get a safety. They have younger players like Mustafa, and I think they really want to focus on him and develop him. But also, too, they may go and get a safety in the draft that's younger, faster, stronger, and cheaper than a guy like Talanoa Hufanga. And same thing with, Dre Greenlaw. I think there's some amazing linebackers in the draft. Now, can a rookie come in and be as good as Dre Greenlaw? No, but he can be healthy and play through the season. I think that's the big issue with Dre Greenlaw is I don't think they're 100% sure if he could stay, healthy through the season. I love Dre Greenlaw though, man. So are there more cons than pros for Dre, says David? That's a good question. Let's talk about it. The pros are he's a dog. The pros are he's an amazing player, right? He's a, energy, a spark plug. He sets the tone. Those are great things. We know what he brings to the table. He's a tremendous playmaker. He's a turnover magnet, right? You get him on the field. He's got interceptions. He can force the fumbles. Like him and Dre, their energy together is unbelievable. So, we know what he brings to the table, and he's a great player. It's hard to replace Dre Greenlaw. We saw them last year try to replace him, and it was very difficult. But the cons are he ruptured his Achilles, and that's a massive injury to come back for any player, linebacker especially, trying to go sideline to sideline. So he's still, having that injury in the back of his mind. I know it's been over a year now, but you got to realize that injury can impact you down the line, and who knows if it flares up. The biggest con for me is will he get re-injured? And if he is, man, you're kind of SOL at that point. So to me, that's the biggest con. And then money, right? If you throw all this money at him, which I'm sure he deserves because he is a good player, like we said, but if you put a lot of money and then he gets hurt, you just, threw a lot of money at someone that's probably not going to play. So that to me is the biggest con, is the injury risk and paying a guy at an injury risk. We always sit here every day, every year and say, oh, don't get injury prone guys. And as much as we love Dre Greenlaw, you do have to understand he comes with injury risk, so you can't say he doesn't. As much as I love the guy, you have to be honest with yourself in the, analysis and the breakdown of Dre Greenlaw. He's a great player, but he does have an injury risk. And it's not just that injury. He had a lot of injuries before that because, he's an intense guy on the field. He's had some hamstring issues, some calf issues, some groin issues. Those are true stories. So it's unfortunate. Even in college, he had, some injuries that he worked through, but amazing player. Now, Talanoa Hufanga, again, same thing, a lot of injuries. And I think for sure that's a guy they're just going to say, look, we love him, but we can't pay to have another injury risk guy. And that's the thing. You can't have too many injury prone guys. Look what happened last year. Their whole roster was riddled with injuries. We cannot keep on repeating what happened last year. You have to make sure you have players on your team that could get through the season. Now, injuries are sometimes random. You can't always predict it. But when you have guys that are predisposed, they've had previous injuries, and you bring them back, you're just kind of keeping yourself at risk is basically what I'm saying there. So we'll see. Moving on to the next big story of the day, we have Deebo Samuel making headlines, making news. The 49ers are fully preparing for Deebo Samuel not to be with the team next season. This is according to Tim Kawakami. I mean, it's not breaking news, but we pretty much knew. Now, this is pretty much a confirmation from Tim Kawakami. He says, everybody's set for Deebo to be an ex-49ers soon, according to Tim Kawakami. And he also went on to say, let me take a look at this report from Tim Kawakami. He also went on to say that he's ready for something new. So are the 49ers. Again, this is what we said over the last couple of days. He needs to clear his mind, a fresh, clean slate for everybody involved. It's time to move away from Deebo Samuel for the 49ers. I think they've accepted it, and Deebo has accepted that it's time to move on from the San Francisco 49ers. It's time for me to get a new home, and this is according to Tim Kawakami. Now, other reports surfaced throughout the day, and it says that 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel is not expected to command more than a day 3 pick in the NFL draft. This is according to multiple picks. JP Finley says he was talking with Jennifer Lee Chan about possible Deebo Samuel trade. He says it's very similar to the Stephon Diggs situation last year. He asked for a trade. They got a second the following year. I don't know if the 49ers will be able to get a second-round pick. And then Nick Wagner, he went on to say that finding a comp for Samuel is difficult in large part because Samuel isn't a traditional receiver. When the Bills traded Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans last April, the Bills received a 2025 second-round pick, but attached a 2024 sixth-round selection and a 2025 fifth-round choice to Diggs to make it happen. At the time, Diggs was coming off a 107-catch, 1,183-yard, 8-touchdown season. Because Samuel is coming off a down year, is entering the final year of his contract, with other top receivers set to be able in free agency or trade, a day 3 pick and perhaps another late-round pick would probably satisfy the 49ers. So it sounds like if the 49ers are to trade Deebo Samuel, it's not going to be a very high pick, which they could have got a couple years ago. It's probably going to be a 5th-round pick if we're being nice here. And I think that's the general consensus. So according to the reports, yes, Deebo Samuel is pretty much all but gone next year. But what are you going to get from him? Most likely a 4th or 5th-round pick, according to a lot of reports. Again, Nick Wagner, Jennifer Lee Chan, a lot of people are expecting Deebo to only come in, a day 3 pick. Now, the 49ers do really good with day 3 picks. Obviously, George Kittle, Dion Lenore, et cetera, et cetera. There's been Dre Greenlaw, who we mentioned. They're all day 3 picks. But the value that Deebo has definitely dropped tremendously over the last couple of years. They tried to shop him a couple of years back. Probably could have got a 2nd-round pick. But now you're not getting more than a 3rd-day pick. And also, the 49ers offense is so unique for Deebo Samuel's skill set. Like, the thing with Deebo Samuel is he is built for the 49ers offense. The motions, the screen, the slants, all those little yak plays, it's perfect for the 49ers. But, he has lost the step. He has gotten slower. He has been banged up. All those factors have really brought his value down. So another team's not going to really utilize the way that he was when he first came into the league or when the 49ers use him in general. I'm sure they're going to try to mix him in, get him some slant, get him some, yak plays here and there. Obviously, the Chiefs would probably be a team that do it. Miami, they know how to use his skill set. But when he was on the 49ers and he was at his peak, I mean, it was unguardable. Like the motions, the slants, the jet sweeps. I don't think you can do that with Deebo anymore. So even if teams tried to, I don't know how much you'd get out of it. So his value has dropped, and accordingly, the 49ers' value in return would probably not be more than a day 3 pick. So let me see some of these comments. Stephen Reynolds says Julian Blackmon can come here and reunite with Gus Bradley. Yeah, I think Julian Blackmon was an option last year. We can use him at safety. I like that. MSQ says, Raj, please be thankful what Deebo has done for this team. He sacrificed his body each and every year for this team and for our own entertainment. I agree. Me and Deebo, I like the guy. I thought he's done a lot. A lot of people have soured on him because of, the trade, the way he was last year, and a lot of other things. But overall, I do remember the good times with Deebo, and I'm going to leave it at that. Now, has he done some crazy things over the last couple of years? Yeah, for sure. But sometimes I feel like people give him a lot of hate and toxicity more than he deserves. Has he gained some weight? Yeah. Has he dropped some passes? Yeah. Has he been perfect? No. He choked Tabor Pepper. Like, he's done some crazy things, but he's been a big part of this team over the last couple of years. 2021, unbelievable. Super Bowl in 2019. If the 49ers were able to win it and they would have kept on feeding him the ball like they were early in the game, probably could have been Super Bowl MVP. But Deebo has done a lot of good things. We've cheered for him. He was many fans' favorite player. But the end of an era is pretty much loading up, and it's almost time. It's almost the time of Deebo to be done with the Niners. And yeah, he's done some shiesty stuff, some slime ball type things. But, he's a wide receiver. Most wide receivers are diva type players. They got diva tendencies, but not all of them. Juwan Jennings is probably, he's an alpha dog. I don't feel like he's a diva. He doesn't like try to make it all about him. He's one of those guys. Team player, total team player. I love him. A little different than most receivers, but he's had to earn his keep, 7th round pick. He had to really work his way up, but it's unfortunate. Deebo's gone, and there's going to be a lot of rumors on where he goes. Adam Schefter thinks he'll go to probably one of the AFC North teams. I think that's a strong choice, right? Steelers been looking for a wide receiver. The Browns could use one. I mean, maybe the Bengals if they get rid of T. Higgins. I think the Patriots make a lot of sense. I think Denver makes a lot of sense. Bo Nix could get another weapon. I think Sean Payton would love to have a versatile guy like that, little Joker type player. And again, Patriots, they got Kendrick Bourne. He can reunite with his boy. And not only that, I think that getting Drake May some weapons is critical. So we'll see. Chris Teal, if Dre Greenlaw is gone, bring in Khalil Mack, trade Deebo Samuel and draft picks for Myles Garrett, and draft a linebacker, safety, and offensive lineman. Yeah, I think Khalil Mack definitely would be a nice depth piece, but he can't be your main free agent piece. I would love Myles Garrett and Khalil Mack a little bit better. I like that, Chris. Now, to me, I think getting a guy like DJ Jones, fixing the interior D-line would be amazing, and then you go get a star center in free agency. Those two, positions are definitely needed for the 49ers. They need to be able to stop the run, and they need to be able to run the ball effectively. You need a center, you need a, defensive tackle, and both of those positions could be filled in free agency. And then you can really stack the draft, go get the tackle or go trade the pick for the 11th pick with Deebo for Myles. There's a lot of options, but to me, I would love to get a DJ Jones, fix that defensive line on the interior. So David says, it feels like the Deebo era was short, 8 seasons. So crazy. I know. It did seem like it went pretty quick. The time just flies. What's up, Daniel Barry Sports? MSQ says, Raj, did you see Deebo liked your post? I did. I posted after the Tim Kawakami update. I posted that update that said Deebo Samuel's most likely not going to get more than a day 3 pick. Deebo Samuel liked it. Liked it. Probably spying on your comments. Do I think it's better to sign a free agent center or draft one, says David? I like signing a free agent. We talked about this last night with Larry Kruger, and I would love to sign a quality star center. I feel like it's harder to get a center in the draft and develop them and really, have a guy be contributing and starting from day one that's a rookie, at the center spot. I mean, I know there's good centers, but I feel like Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's a little intricate, and you need a guy that can really come in, communicate with Brock, and be a stable piece in the middle. Jake Brendel wasn't the guy. And I think if you can get a stud center in free agency, it makes a lot, it makes it a lot easier for this offense to start moving. And I think it also helps keep the 49ers having the ability of getting like a tackle in the draft or a defensive end or something like of quality. Not saying that center is not a quality position, but it's harder to find like a generational type center where if you can get like a blue chip tackle in the draft and maybe replace, Colton McKivitz and then eventually Trent Williams when he retires, I think that would be outstanding, like a Will Campbell, for example. Or you can go and get like Mason Graham in the draft. You get a star player that can be a stud on your team for 8 to 10 years at least, if it works out that way. I think that'd be the way to go rather than getting a center in the draft. Now, and if you get a center, if you spend a first round pick on a center, I don't know if you're going to find a blue chipper at center. I think you could find one later in the draft, 3rd, 4th round for sure. But are they going to be starting quality right away? Probably not. So I would rather go in free agency and get a center. But they definitely do need to upgrade over Jake the Snake Brendel. So, did you see Kittle on Raw wearing a wrestling mask and drinking beer? Says Chris. Yeah, I was watching it. I posted the video. Him and his boy Penta. They got in a little match. He got Kittle into the ring. Penta got him into the ring. Did the little celly. Got the mask. He was hyped up. Cool to see. I think George Kittle, after he hangs it up and he retires, he'll be in the WWE at some point. He's going to be, at least for a little bit. He'll definitely be at WrestleMania, and he'll have a match in the next couple of years. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. So, Julia says, what do I tell my grandma about Deebo situation because he's her favorite player? Well, Julia, this is what you tell your grandma. You tell her, hey, Deebo Samuel is done in the Bay, and just tell her. So it's sad. Tell her it's a business. He wants a fresh start, and that means Niners got to trade him. They can't keep a guy that's not wanting to play. If you keep Deebo on this team, it's going to be a weird, very awkward vibe. He wants to be gone. The 49ers, I think, are pretty much done with Deebo, with, the team. It's not that they hate him, but, time to move on. And they got to get some value out of him. So you tell your grandmother, he gone. Don't get upset. It's business. California man says, Deebo Samuel to the Dolphins, which he would reunite with his former 49er coordinator, Mike McDaniel. That makes sense. I could definitely see Deebo go to Miami. He likes Mike McDaniel. I remember he talked to him a lot when Mike McDaniel went to the Dolphins. There were rumors at the time, is he going to go to Miami? I can see it. When Mike McDaniel was the OC here, Deebo had some really good seasons. So I 100% can see that. Steven says, when the Niners are trying to find a number one wide receiver before Ayuk comes back, don't expect a big name like Adams because of what happened to Campbell when he complains, wanted to be a starter. Well, I think this is a different situation. I think wide receiver, you can never have too much good wide receivers. And with Drake and with Brandon Ayuk, when he comes back, I don't even know how much he could do when he comes back, how effective. It's going to take Brandon Ayuk a long time to get back to where he needs to be in terms of being a top flight wide receiver. It's not like he's going to come back day one and be like, wow, pick up where he left off. And if you think about it, if he's picking up where he left off, he didn't leave off on a good foot. So I still think they can get a guy like Adams or Garrett Wilson or whoever the case is, because who knows what the heck's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, they're paying him a lot of money, but I don't expect him back until midseason at the very least. And then when he does come back, they're going to have to kind of really slowly build him in. But we'll see. Hopefully, what's his name? Ricky Pearsall can really take a huge leap. That's the guy that is the X factor for the 49ers. I think they really want to see Ricky Pearsall be like that guy. He was drafted in the first round, and I think that's the guy they really want to go up. But I still think they'll get a wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a pretty good guy in the mix. So, Chris said, how would you feel about getting Justin Fields as a backup if the Niners don't get Flacco? I mean, I wouldn't hate it. He's cool with being a backup, but I think Justin Fields is really going to try to find a spot where he can start. And I just don't see that happening with the Niners because, Brock, but I think if Brock were to go down and get hurt, you definitely can throw Fields in there. But I just don't think that's the vibe Kyle wants. I think he wants like an older veteran, a guy that could come in and probably not even be as expensive. Even though Justin Fields hasn't done much, he's still probably going to command a decent check. So I don't think the 49ers want to break the bank on a whole quarterback room because they're going to have to pay Brock a lot. They're going to have to want to probably take cheaper veterans to fill out that quarterback room. But I wouldn't hate Justin Fields. I think he's a good backup. But I don't think that would be in the realm of possibilities where the 49ers are kind of headed because they probably want to spend more money on like an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle and get a quality, like really, like Justin Fields is a really quality backup. But I think he could be a starter in specific teams. I mean, I really thought he should have stayed starting in Pittsburgh, but he's not elite. But at the same time, I feel like he's good. He's not always been given the chance that he deserved. But a lot of those quarterbacks in that draft class they weren't as good as we thought, right? Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. A lot of them are backups quarterbacks now. It's pretty sad. So my man says, hear me out. Sign the Falcons center in free agency. That's who I want. The Falcons center is the guy I want, actually. I think that's the guy you move. He's a really strong quality center, and I think he's the best on the market. I think that's who they should get. And then my boy said you can draft Banks at 11 and move McKivitz to left guard. Did I cook? You cooked. You cooked. I just don't know about McKivitz at left guard. I don't know. Drew Allman. Yeah, that's the guy. I don't know. I still think that there might be a better guard option out there. I wouldn't hate Colton McKivitz at guard, but he's been tackled primarily his career. So would you want to trade him or would you want to transition him to guard? This deep into his career, was he 4th, 5th year? I don't know. I don't know how good he'd be at left guard, but you semi-cooked there with that. So I do want the center from Atlanta, and I would love to get Banks at 11. You kidding me? He's one of the top tackles in the draft. So Brian says, I like Feliciano at guard. I like Feliciano too, but I don't know if he's going to play this year. He had a nasty, his knee injury wasn't getting any better last year. He's up there in age. He's been in the league, 10, 11 years. I think Feliciano is going to retire, and I think there's definitely better options. Not saying he's bad, but I just think we need to get a young, quality guard because this is the thing. Look at the Eagles' offensive line. That's what the prototype is. They're big, blue chip guys, first rounders, second rounders. That's the type of guys we got. I'm not saying that Feliciano is bad, but he's not like built like those Eagles linemen. Those guys are just unbelievably massive, and they're built a certain way. And Feliciano is a big guy, but he's not like, and he's just like kind of fat. He's not like a big, strong, hulking, menacing guy. I want athletic, big prototype guys like the Eagles have, man. And they need to spend some quality draft picks on blue chippers at offensive line. But that's what I want. I want the 49ers to really just go all out and get a nasty O-line, man. Not tweeners. So. MSQ says, if Aaron Rodgers was willing to sign as a backup and take less money, am I making the move? Yes, I am. A backup? He's not going to be a backup. It'll be too much drama, but I would take it. Now, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, let's move into that topic because that is my final topic of the day. The 49ers have the third best odds to acquire the Jets veteran quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, per multiple betting report sites. Bovada is one. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers is 41. He grew up in California and has always wanted to play for his hometown team. He's always liked the Niners. He's always thought we could have had him multiple times. But now the odds are the 49ers are the third best team to claim it. It's crazy. There's rumors saying that the 49ers are going to get Aaron Rodgers. I think it's baffling to me that, people are saying this. It's smoke season. Remember that. But it's just wild. These are the rumors. I told you in off season, you're going to have all these things. I mean, you have one person saying Brock Purdy's going to get $60 million, right? Deanna Rossini. And then you have another person saying, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers might go to the 49ers. Third best odds. Can't make this stuff up. That's the 49ers offseason in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. What do you guys think? Aaron Rodgers come to the Bay? He's not coming to be a backup. That's the thing. If the Aaron Rodgers if Aaron Rodgers comes to the Niners, he's not going to play backup. He's 41. You think he's going to sit there and be a bench player for the rest of his career? No, he's got one more run in him, and he wants to be a starter. That's it. Bottom line. He's not sitting there twiddling his fingers to play behind Brock Purdy. This guy's won multiple MVPs. We'll see. And if Brock is the guy to take a bench and they keep him on his rookie contract, is he going to sign an extension the following year? No, it's a weird situation. It's a wild rumor. I just don't understand how it makes sense to go and get Aaron Rodgers. Now, do I think that he still has something left in the tank? I do. A lot of people don't. If you watch that season last year, he cooked down the second half of the stretch, second half of the season. I think he's still got something in him. He's 41, but you need to put an offensive line. If you put Aaron Rodgers on the Niners behind what the hell offensive line we had last year, that guy's going to rupture his Achilles again. So it's just, you have to fix the O-line regardless who your quarterback is. But I don't think it makes sense to get Aaron Rodgers. If you're going to be paying Brock Purdy, it makes absolutely no sense to me. So California man says, I see Gardner Minshew as Brock Purdy's backup. Minshew might fit into Kyle Shanahan's scheme. He coached Gardner Minshew in the Senior Bowl a couple years ago. I know there were rumors a couple years back that the 49ers were looking into Gardner Minshew. I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate Gardner Minshew as the backup. Gardner Minshew, backup? Minshew Mania? Let's go. That's who I want as backup, actually. He would rupture that Achilles, 100%. My man MSQ, with the stat here, he says, the Eagles' offensive line averaged 6'6", 338 pounds, the biggest offensive line unit in Super Bowl history and NFL history. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. When you look at the Eagles' offensive line, those guys, like I said, they're just menacing, like massive dudes, like massive human beings. 6'6", 338-pound average? That's a lot of dude. That's a lot of man. It's a big-ass guy. That's a strong-ass guy. So, the 49ers, that's the prototype. Build your offensive line like that. You can't stonewall. You can't move them. And imagine a defensive line trying to get through that. That tells you what you need to do to your defensive line. Stack it with some athletic big guys that can maybe get past that wall of offensive line. It's like a fortress. So, the Eagles, man, their O-line and D-line is just insane. And the D-line, man, they basically have Georgia's defensive line. Like, those guys are all from Georgia. And if you watch college football over the last couple of years, Georgia's D-line is nasty, man. So shout out to Howie Roseman, man. He really developed hell of a team. So 6'6", 338 pounds. That's disgusting. That's a lot of mass. Jesus. Woo. How would the Eagles O-line do against the Eagles D-line? That's a good question, man. I would love to see their practices. That's a nasty. Both of them are just big hog mollies, right? Ryan says, got to get Banks and Allman. Draft in the third round, get a left guard, or go sign Trey Smith. That's a great plan, man. Allman at center. You go get Kelvin Banks in the draft at tackle. And you got, you'll have Pooney. You got Trent Williams for probably one more year. And then you go get a third-round guard or Trey Smith. Instantly upgraded your O-line. You cooked, Ryan. You cooked with that. That's a good – I like it. I love it. Absolutely love that. And then stack D-line as much as you can. Go get me DJ Jones, second-round D-lineman. There's a lot of generational defensive linemen in this draft. So we'll see. Let's recap real quick before we leave. Again, the big stories of the day is Matt Barrows believes that Dre Greenlaw is not going to be back with the 49ers, basically saying that he gone. He says, I think the chances are better than not that Dre Greenlaw is gone. He says, my sense is that Dre Greenlaw wants the opportunity to run his own shop. He also said that Talanoa Hufanga is likely not to be back as well. So it looks like the 49ers, according to Matt Barrows, will not have Dre Greenlaw or Talanoa Hufanga. Additionally, Tim Kawakami reported that the 49ers are pretty much expecting Deebo Samuel not to be on the team next season. He says everybody's set for Deebo to be an ex-49er soon. He's ready for something new, and so are the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers has the third best odds to land with the 49ers. That's crazy. Brock Purdy's contract is expected to be between $55 to $60 million, as we know, but we will see. And lastly, Deebo Samuel is not expected to command more than a day 3 pick in the NFL draft. This is according to multiple reports. So you guys have a good rest of your day. We'll stay tuned for more news. Make sure you hit that like button. If there's anything more, we'll be live. I'm not working the rest of the day, so I'll be able to come live and talk to y'all and do all that stuff. Hopefully we get some news. You guys take care. Love you. And as always, go Niners. Peace.